And ask me, are you dying as you live or living afraid to die? I couldn't lie, son. I heard God's son, like a calm hum. Died some, came alive some, up on high some. Lifted out that prison, you'll be sliding out that sepulcher. Crosshair on my body, don't care if they shoot the messenger. Ain't no weapon shall prosper, gospel flow out me like lava. No enemy that we can't counter, Mouser. I spit heat throughout the heavens to the valleys, from the highs into the lows. Everybody,
I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Right.
Fucking thing sucks.
In 5, 4, 3.
Hello, everybody, and hello, Meatball. Hi, Pete Thomas. Happy July, everyone. Hello, Nemesis and Hades. So nice to see you. Hello, Harry74, Anthony Kimball, Jonacide, Cielo. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Espero que estés bien. En el nombre de Jesus. I hope I said that right. Hello, Allison Washir. And all right, cool. I think I'm caught up with everybody. And Dr. Crispy Rothschild. I like that name. All right, guys. So today we have 2 streams. Don't get used to it. But we are going to start off this covering the update from the, I'm still going to say, alleged Satanic Temple bomber, Sean Patrick Palmer. I have pulled all of the court records that I can off of Pacer. And then we are also going to talk about the process mom and her buying her son weapons to do a pew-pew at a school. Yeah, and hello, Alex. Iphigenia, I like that name. Hello, Dream Date Charlie, and hello, Don Lambert. All right, cool. I think I'm caught up. I'm going to shut up now and run the intro, BRB. All right. Hello, everybody. Hey, Paul from Truth Disciples. What's up? And hello, Angel Pavlov's Corn Dog and Misty Blue and Lawrence Morgan. All right. Hello, everybody. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, you guys know that I was basically like stalking this dude, right? Sean Patrick Palmer. So when you look it up on Pacer, there wasn't a lot of updates, and that's what was really bugging me out about this. I'm like, where is this guy? Like, is he alive? Has anybody seen him? So, first thing is first, let me get his plea agreement. We've got 4 documents to look through. Now, I'm not a lawyer, nor do I play one on TV, but I'm wondering how normal it is for someone to plea months ahead of time. Granted, he was arrested, I think. They got him pretty quickly. He was arrested by last summer, I know for sure. But we're going to look at when he made the plea agreement versus when it was actually filed, because there's like a almost 3-month disparity here, which is very strange to me. And then we're going to get into all the fun stuff that the Satanic Temple could not prove. Because, wouldn't you know it, like every other lawsuit that the Satanic Temple is involved in, it's a joke. It's a total joke. And interestingly enough, Tesla is named in the paperwork. But let's go ahead and pull this tab up. Let me see. Let's see how this works. Give me a second. All right, how does this look to you guys? All right, cool. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see this. So it shows filed March 19th of this year, right here, January 8th, 2025. So the United States versus Sean Palmer, right? So change of plea. So he will plead guilty to count 1 of the indictment, damaging and attempting to damage a building by means of fire and an explosive in violation of this statute. Defendant admits that defendant committed this crime and that he is in fact guilty of this offense. Defendant faces the following mandatory minimum and maximum penalties: incarceration for not more than 20 years and not less than 5, supervised release for 3 years, a fine of $250,000, a mandatory special assessment of $100, and restitution. I'm really not going to sit here and go through all of this, okay? But right here, his base level offense is 20 because the offense endangered a structure other than a dwelling and a place of public use. His offense level is increased by 3 because he intentionally selected any victim or any property as the object of the offense of conviction because of the actual or perceived religion of any person. And then the offense level decreased by 3 because defendant has accepted responsibility for defendant's crimes. So I think that all of that relatively interesting. So right here, incarceration for 60 months, a fine of $10,000 unless the court determines defendant is unable to pay a fine, 36 months of supervised release, a mandatory special assessment of $100, we already saw that, and full restitution to all victims not to exceed $10,000. And there we go. He will not challenge the conviction on direct appeal or in any other proceeding, including in a separate civil lawsuit, and will not challenge the sentence, including any court orders related to forfeiture, restitution, fines, or supervised release on direct appeal, or in any other proceeding, including in a separate civil lawsuit. Okay, so we see all of this. A lot of this just kind of seems like, regular brass tacks type stuff, right? So that's all good and well. Who really cares? I care because when you read the press, when you look up the news on this, now granted, there is one set of documents that I cannot get access to these documents on Pacer, but I have read through everything else. There is no proof that there was DNA of Sean Patrick Palmer's on that bomb. None. But the press is reporting that they did get a DNA match, that it was a single beard or single hair from his beard. Where's the proof? I would like to see proof of this. But we've got a little bit of a PTK situation going on here, in my opinion, at least a little bit. I've highlighted some of this because no, we're not going to sit here and read all 17 pages. Okay, we're not going to do that because that's not fun for anybody if we're all being honest with each other. So here we go. So this was filed on June 5th, 2025, the United States of America versus Sean Palmer. So here we go. And again, we already saw this. 1 count. Indictment charging him with damage or attempting to damage a building by means of fire and an explosive in violation of da-da-da-da-da-da, right? So, right here, Mr. Palmer's mental functioning at the time he committed the conduct in this offense was obviously impaired. In sum, he acknowledges he knew at the time what he was doing was wrong, but nevertheless felt Elohim calling him to fight crybaby Satan, but want me to make hard effort so no one dies. I still love crybaby Satan. Okay, still my favorite thing. Think it's very funny, especially since no one was hurt. Also, this speaks to the incompetence level of Dougie Lucian and the Satanic Temple having no security measures. But right here it says, following his incarceration in this case, Mr. Palmer was prescribed and accepted medication to address his significant mental health diagnoses. Those medications have helped his thinking in a way not present in the early morning hours of April 8th 2024. There we go. He wants to continue to engage in mental health treatment upon his release and never again return to confinement. Now, I don't want to read through his entire life, but guess what? It sucked, right? Sounds like it sucked. Now, obviously, I think that this is very interesting. His father worked for Lockheed Martin, and his mother was a therapist. Will we be coming back to talk about this in a very deep dive? Absolutely, we will. And unfortunately, he was abused by his father and has, from what he describes, head injuries. So, for those of you that have read Programmed to Kill by the late, great Dave McGowan, this all kind of tracks, right? I think that, again, just interesting. But talks about his parents' divorce, all of that stuff. He was in Florida, engaged. There was a loss of a baby. It's all very, 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 very sad, right? Sad stuff. But this is a lot of the paperwork here. So, the offense conduct. Oh, wait, what did somebody ask? Crybaby Satan, what is that about? So that's what he put in the letter. That's what he said in the letter, was calling them crybaby Satanists, basically, which I think is hilarious. So right here, the offense is accurately described in the pre-sentence report. The Satanic Temple, TST, occupies a converted Victorian-style home along a main road in Salem. One could forgive the casual observer, particularly someone with an overtly and engaged Christian outlook, for taking from its name an understanding that TST and its members espouse devotion to or worship of the biblical Satan, or, more succinctly, evil in opposition to God. Only by navigating through TST's website, however, would one better learn about its espoused belief structure and what TST means to convey by reference to Satan. For example, in answer to the question, "Do you worship Satan?" one finds the answer, "No, nor do we believe in the existence of Satan or the supernatural." We've heard this before, right? So, I mean, that all tracks. We're going to look at something that's going to contradict this here shortly. However, I'm not going to sit here and read this entire thing. This nuance can understandably still be lost, even on those who take the time to review it. Most persons' understanding of TST's positions and beliefs are likely to come from media exposure of TST's own vigorous litigation against local government actions it views as violating the First Amendment's prohibition of the establishment of religion and other public advocacy by TST designed to garner media attention to its perspective. Now, what we are going to do, and I am not prepared for it, so give me a second because I'm going to pull it up. We are going to look at right here before we continue, because there's a little book out there that once I am able to scan the full copy, I'm going to upload it, and I don't care if they like copyright strike me or whatever. They insist that they don't actually believe in anything, right? For those of you that have been on my X, then you've already seen this, but we're going to go ahead and look at some of this grossness, and I would ask you why they claim to be non-theistic when we've got this going on. Wonder why a non-theistic organization would endorse and or engage in rituals involving a nude host, pouring urine on each other, and praying to the god of the flesh. The Processian language and animals are a cute touch. This is from The Devil's Tome, Shiva Honey, with illustrations by Alexander, is that Corey, and Lucian Greaves? I think this is Corey. So right here, the nun completes his urination. As the nun pours urine on the host, the deacon continues, and the host luxuriates in the urine. The deacon says, "And the dark Lord shall wipe all tears from his eyes, for he said unto me, It is done. I am the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give freely unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life." Priestess takes the wafer, whatever the hell that means. I'm not saying Latin because I don't know what voodoo y'all are doing. Nun and deacon spread the legs of the host. Oh, priestess puts the wafer into the exposed buttocks of the host, then walks back to place. The wafers are handed to attendees by the nun and deacon. Priestess holds up the wafer. To us, thy faithful children, O infernal Lord, who glory in our iniquity and trust in your boundless power and might, grant that we may be numbered among thy chosen. It is ever through you that all gifts come to us. Knowledge, power, and wealth are yours to bestow. Renouncing the spiritual paradise of the weak and lowly, we place our trust in thee, the God of the flesh, looking to the satisfaction of all our desires and petitioning all fulfillment in the land of the living. Clergy, lift up wafers. Priestess eats the wafer. All eat wafers. So, they're eating wafers out of someone's butt, which is pretty gross. And then right here, I do wonder if you guys are using that e-meter or p-scope. Dougie, Lucian. Inquiring minds would love to know. Our Father who art in hell, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in hell. Give us this day our daily light. Send forth thy Spirit, and renew the face of the earth. Deliver us unto luxury. Deliver us unto the plenteousness of thy house. Let us walk as in the day, eat fat meats, and drink sweet wines. Let us fuck, and that our hearts may be prepared for it. Inflame them with the fire of thy life, Lord Satan, and let reason rule the earth. Deliver us, O mighty Satan, from all past error and delusion, that, having set our foot upon the path of light, and vowed ourselves to thy service, we may not weaken in our resolve, but with thy assistance grow in wisdom and strength. I am the root and stock of Lucifer, the bright and morning star. Come over to me, all ye that desire me, and be filled with my fruits. Darkness shall cover me, and night shall be my light and pleasure. And just 'cause I love saying it, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a Processian, right? Because right here, February 2022, we have an e-meter in our headquarters, and I've played with it. I still hold out some thought that maybe I could find a way to use it better. And that's why I say that that is a P-scope and not an e-meter. Okay, so I think that we have established, thanks to that book, that Dougie, Lucian, that he and his friends are, excuse my French, completely full of shit. Okay? Completely full of it. Now, let's go ahead and let's continue with the documentation. It is out there, AZ, I agree, but that's what they're doing, right? Why do they say that they're non-theistic? They're literally talking about deities. But let's go ahead and continue. We're on page 5. So right here, TST clearly seeks legal and official recognition as a bona fide religion entitled to equal treatment under the law and an entity of sincere religiosity. The parties, by virtue of their agreed upon guidelines calculation, explicitly endorse a 3-level increase under where Mr. Palmer admits that TST was intentionally selected as the object of his offense because of its religion. Okay. No matter its belief structure or name, no excuse or justification can be made for the aggression and dangerousness of Mr. Palmer's conduct, and none is offered here. His conduct was hazardous to himself and others in significant ways. For its part, the advisory guidelines which apply here take presumptively adequate account of the specially targeted nature of his conduct. But in accounting for that criminal conduct as part of arriving at a just sentence, which is sufficient but not greater than necessary, it is still important to understand Mr. Palmer's frame of understanding at the time and the influence of his own misguided hyper-religiosity and mental health struggles on his conduct. Okay, well, that's good and well. We're not going to sit here and read all of this stuff. Now, right here, the circumstances of the offense. As a reminder, and I'm so glad that they pointed this out, he traveled halfway across the country to commit a serious criminal offense in the dead of night. And where's the DNA evidence? Okay? That's what I would like to see. Where's the DNA evidence? Because literally, this does not make sense. This has never made sense. We still have not heard from the witnesses that Dougie was touring the temple. No one has heard from them. I certainly haven't gotten an answer from anybody, right? Isn't that convenient? But here again, going through saying that, he's had a rough life, the medications have been helpful, and you know what? God bless. Like, I don't wish ill will on anybody, and I don't think that what was done to the temple was good. I'm anti-violence. I'm just saying, I still believe that this was a false flag, and all of Doug's claims in here are total crap. So, let's keep going. All right, here we go. This is talking about the bomb where it says bye-bye, I guess, written on it. Okay, whatever. Let's see. Let's keep going. Yeah, so right here. Keep going. Okay. In this case, the pre-sentence report notes that no costs were incurred because of the minor damage to the Satanic Temple, and the parties have agreed that restitution will not exceed $10,000. Yes, mortuary wood chipper, where's the interstate camera footage of his vehicle? Indeed, because we absolutely know that there are cameras everywhere, right? On May 28, 2025, the government informed the probation department and Mr. Palmer that TST seeks an order of restitution in the amount of $27,838 for 3 distinct categories of expenses. The pre-sentence report notes the government's objection to the draft report. The probation department concludes that it does not believe that the cost and losses listed above meet the requirement for mandatory restitution. And right here, Mr. Palmer anticipates that the government will continue to agree with him, right? That's what they're talking about here. That they will maintain their position and that he remains able to object to what he believes is not properly restitution, but anticipates the government to also maintain that the requested categories submitted by TST fall within the ambit of restitution. So, as set forth below, Mr. Palmer submits that the documentation provided by TST and the government lacks sufficient detail, corroboration, and attestation to support the requested restitution orders. Where these expenses were neither necessary nor reasonably foreseeable and are not directly related to and or are attenuated from his offense, Mr. Palmer submits that the specific requested restitution is not permitted under the MVRA. Now, before we continue, does anyone remember when all of this was going on last summer? For my peeps that have been here for a hot minute, do you guys remember? When all that weird sort of, what some people would call gang stalking was going on? Remember when Doug made a fake channel of me? Doug. Yeah, and he had all his little satanic Thotianas coming after me. He was contacting one of the top podcasters in the world with a background check on my whole family. And you remember how he came to Georgia to get a German Shepherd? Which was kind of weird timing, right? A little bit of weird timing. That's what this is talking about. So let's go ahead and let's get into it, just as a reminder to everybody. So, right here, purchase of a canine. TST seeks restitution in the amount of $20,000 for the purchase of a protection canine for its co-founder and public spokesperson, Lucien Greaves. This figure purports to cover the acquiring, training, and maintenance of the protection canine, which it obtained to ensure Lucien's safety during public appearances and daily operations. It is not clear, in the first instance, that a canine was actually required to ensure either TST's daily operations or Mr. Graves' future public appearances. Additionally, neither the costs associated with the canine nor Mr. Graves' continued public appearances are foreseeable or directly related to Mr. Palmer's criminal offense. These expenses are therefore outside the ambit of the MVRA and should not be considered as appropriate restitution matters here. I agree. More importantly, however, where the purchase and care of a canine to support Mr. Greaves do not involve expenses incurred during participation in the investigation or prosecution of the offense or attendance at proceedings related to the offense, restitution is not appropriate. Specifically, expenses relating to the purchase, training, and maintenance of a canine are not necessary within the meaning of this statute. I cannot believe that Doug has the audacity to pull this. The audacity. We're not going to sit here and read all this legal mumbo jumbo, okay? But right here. Indeed, TST's request for reimbursement for canine costs appear to be wholly unrelated to expenses required to attend or participate in any government investigation, proceeding, or appearance. Additionally, where it appears that TST seeks the total cost associated with the canine, $20,000, such an award would be inappropriate and effectively subsidize Hurricane Creek Canine LLC's $10,000 donation to the Satanic Temple. The receipt submitted by TST for the canine notably makes no mention of the purported total $20,000 cost, nor the purported $10,000 donation or reduction from the total cost. On this basis alone, the evidence submitted to support this claim is insufficient. Now, this might be a civil matter because, again, I'm not a lawyer and I don't play one on TV, but this, Dougie, Lucian, hello, this is a joke. Subsidizing the place that trained your dog. They donated $10,000 to the temple. He's literally trying to rip off this guy for $10,000 and to have the courts sanction it. That's completely insane. Wonder why this case isn't really getting a lot of press, right? Probably because Doug knows that people are going to look at these court records and he's going to be embarrassed. He can't pull his satanic panic BS over here. So, right here, property insurance increase. This one's really fun. So, next, the Satanic Temple seeks restitution in the amount of $6,658 for property insurance, as it represents that following the offense in this case, TST's previous insurer declined to renew coverage, requiring them to seek out a new policy with additional coverage. In the first instant, the court should note that the documentation provided does not name TST as the insured party, but rather the prior policy names 64, they mean 4, but they said 60 Fort Bridge LLC, doing business as Salem Art Gallery as the insured. The apparently current policy names 64 Bridge LLC. So, I know a lot of people know this. However, the Satanic Temple is an art gallery, right? Kind of like J.J. Bryan's art gallery, right? We've talked about him, the crown neo-Processian of hell. You guys getting it now? Are we getting it? I just need to drive these points home, right? Because I love that they tear all of this apart because the whole shell game here is stupid. So let's continue. The Secretary of the Commonwealth's publicly accessible Corporates Division database includes filings for 64 Bridge LLC, which makes no reference to TST and describes the general character of business as acquire, manage, and operate real estate, along with all other lawful business in the Commonwealth. Okay. TST is separately organized with the Secretary of the Commonwealth as the Satanic Temple Incorporated, whose purpose is noted as to engage in the following activities: the promotion of the beliefs, ideals, and tenets of the religion, mutual support and assistance of the religion's members, holding religious events and ceremonies, interaction with the communities within which the church has a presence, to engage in such other activities consistent with the operation of a non-profit church as described by this code of the IRS or corresponding section of future federal tax code, right? So, importantly, according to the publicly available Southern Essex Registry of Deeds, the building, which is the subject of the criminal charge, 64 Bridge Street in Salem, is not owned by the Satanic Temple, but rather by 64 Bridge LLC. The most current mortgage, a mortgage discharge, and a quitclaim deed held by the registry all refer to 64 Bridge LLC as the interested party, not TST. The most recent filings relate not to TST as owning the property. Rather, Tesla Incorporated asserts a secured interest in energy generation systems against 64 Bridge LLC, and a named individual in the Secretary of the Commonwealth filings for the LLC who is not Mr. Greaves. We're going to talk about that another day. Presumably, 64 Bridge LLC leases the property to either Salem Art Gallery, as named in the Union Mutual documentation, or TST itself. Even if the increase in policy cost were an allowable form of restitution, and Palmer does not concede that it is, the request submitted by TST fails to show its own obligation for restitution it claims. What's more, however, the government has provided no documentation substantiating reason for the declination of the previous insurer, Union Mutual, to renew this policy, let alone any documentation of the Satanic Temple's claim that the declination was related in any way to Mr. Palmer's offense. Moreover, to the extent that the Satanic Temple asserts additional coverage by a new insurer was required to provide terrorism-related coverage, whereas the previous policy had not, the documentation provided by TST related to its 2022-2023 policy with Union Mutual explicitly included federal terrorism coverage. Does anybody see a problem with this? Does anybody see a problem with this? They are not non-theistic. They are not libertarian. They are extremely litigation happy. And they feel entitled as fuck. You know what that reminds me of? Scientology. Scientology. That's what that reminds me of. But I don't really know how you can get away with like filing certain things, especially in a federal case like this, right? Because they said federal terrorism charges, yeah. Wouldn't that be lying? I think Dougie had to go under oath. Yeah, I'm really curious. I hope that those documents get released. But let's go ahead and let's continue. So, right, we ended right there. Finally, the documents provided by TST via the government do not indicate the new insurer's assessment of Mr. Palmer's offense in its estimate or issuance of a new coverage policy, as opposed to other threats, which others have made against TST, nor is there any substantiation of TST's claim that no cost comparable insurance from traditional insurers could be obtained as a result of Mr. Palmer's offense. On this record, where the government appears to have merely passed along the Satanic Temple's unsupported cost estimate, it cannot meet its burden to demonstrate loss, causation, or the reasonableness of this request. I'm going to point out one other thing. You know what this also sounds like? The Processian lawsuit against Ed Sanders. They couldn't prove a, excuse my French, fucking thing. Starting to see a trend here. Yeah, I'm starting to see a trend here. Okay, let's go ahead and let's continue. Sorry. All right, so this one is the most stupid. Reimbursement for staff members' pet seating. TST also seeks restitution in the amount of $1,180 related to the pet sitting fees incurred by an employee who was required to make an emergency trip to Salem to temporarily assume the gallery manager's responsibilities. Why is that, Doug? You didn't have to go anywhere. Whatever. The sole documentation supporting this request appears to be a PayPal transfer from TST to the employee with a note referencing a boarding invoice. The government has not provided any materials or documentation relating to the boarding of the employee's pet, nor any substantiation that such boarding or pet sitting was necessary or covered as an other expense related to TST's participation in the investigation or prosecution of the offense or attendance at proceedings related to the offense. As with its submission relative to the insurance policy claim, a pass-on claim is insufficient to satisfy the government's burden. Why is the government protecting the Satanic Temple? Yeah. And why does the government allow them to claim that they are non-theistic when they clearly are theistic? Some could fairly state and observe objectively that they are engaging in sex rituals. Yeah, sitting there pouring urine on each other. Whatever. All right, right here. Obviously, just kind of laying all of this out, his assets and incomes. What's the reality of the situation, right? You know, he's going to be in prison. Consideration of the economic circumstances of the defendant. that's all good and well, right? So let's keep going. Yeah, so he'll be sent to MCFP in Springfield, Missouri. That's fine. And yeah, that is that. Isn't that enlightening? You remember what a little crybaby Doug was about that? It's Christian extremists coming after us. Doug, dude, Dougie. Such a goon. Such a freaking goon. Now, because, this isn't the only time that I'm going to talk about this, but we will go ahead and we will look at the evidence from the government. And I'm also going to pull up any other sentencing documentation because it is very short. That was the big part of it, though. Don't you think that it would make sense if you're trying to, promote your religion, right? Or not religion, that a win like this would be a big deal? Yeah? It would be a real big deal. Why is Doug so quiet? It's because he looks like excuse my French, God forgive me, looks like a fucking moron. He literally lied in court. I'm waiting to see if he went under oath. That's what I'm really curious about. But let's go ahead and let's look at the government's exhibits, because I know how to pull these records, and I've already pulled all of them, so I won't be redacting anything except for addresses, but let's go ahead and look. Okay, so right here, June 5th, right? We're not, it says 28 pages. Don't bug out, right? Commonwealth records regarding 64 Bridge LLC and the Satanic Temple. And right there. See, look at how basic this is. This is like the government's job. I could do this. This seems kind of easy. But let's just go ahead and continue, right? Oh, look at that. You guys do realize that, we out here on the internet and we know how to pull this stuff, yeah? Okay, I'm just making sure. This is all of their evidence here. But I think it's interesting that we have two Satanic temples, yeah? The Satanic Temple and then the Satanic Temple Inc. A little bit interesting. A lot of shell games going on here, yeah? And I know that this is just a fraction of the shell companies. Why did you guys redact this? Who are you protecting? I already have all this stuff. I've had all this stuff. I think I've shown it before. But let's go ahead and let's continue. Let's see what other ones. Oh yeah, it's super fun. We got the mortgage. We got the mortgage of the temple, or the art gallery, whatever you'd like to call it. So I think that that's fascinating. At least we got that, right? And then we're gonna be coming up on the Tesla stuff, which whatever. I'm certainly not an Elon fan, and I have no idea what it means, but someone else can enlighten me. I'm assuming that they're using what are those panels to give you electricity? I sound like a complete idiot. Were they the panels that go on your roof? You know what I mean? I'm assuming. Probably an inaccurate assumption, right? Let's see. Right here. Oh yeah, they gave us all the tea. Look at that. They gave us all the tea. We love to see it. There you go. There's the quick claim deed. Da, 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 da. I'm going to be looking into this. I'm going to be looking into that one because that's a new one for me, right? So right here, UCC financing statement for 64 Bridge LLC. Tesla Incorporated, all energy generation systems and associated components at any time provided by Tesla Inc. to debtor. The secured party is not taking a security interest in the real property, except solely to the extent the foregoing is a fixture. The secured party's only security interest is in the specific collateral described in this section. Like I said, I'm assuming that this is, yes, solar panel. Thank you so much. Solar panel, that's what I can assume, right? Because there's really not a lot more information here. But I just thought that it was interesting. Yeah, a little bit interesting to me. And look at that. The government can do a basic Google search. Good for you guys. Good for you guys. This is where your tax money's going, right? Good for you. Yay, congratulations. Congratulations to the government. You guys can do a basic Google search. Now, let's go ahead and go with this was filed 3 days later. We're not going to sit here and read through the whole thing, but I want to make sure that I'm showing everything. That way you guys can see it. This is sentencing part 1. Okay, here we go. So, filed June 8th. So, yeah, that was 3 days later. Sean Patrick Palmer. There we go. Memorandum in connection with the sentencing of defendant Sean Patrick Palmer. Pleaded guilty March 2025 to damaging the Satanic Temple. But here's the thing, he actually pleaded in January. So why are you guys saying that it was in March? We've seen the documentation. I'm just curious. What was going on for this entire year? Yeah? Were you guys putting a little bit of pressure on him? Maybe. I would imagine so, but this is just my personal opinion, right? The government's recommendation. And here we are. It was only by sheer luck that the bomb malfunctioned and did not fully detonate. TST, therefore, was spared significant damage. A TST employee arriving for work later that morning discovered the bomb. Because let us not forget, Doug was literally taking people on a tour and didn't even notice this, right? Didn't even notice it. Isn't that fascinating? Do we see anything? Anything here? I see nothing about DNA. Nothing. Nothing. I see no evidence. I see no evidence. I would like to see evidence. Does anybody see anything about DNA? Am I having a stroke? Because there's the United States attorney and the assistant attorney. I see nothing about DNA. At all. We're going to see DNA that he has to submit as part of his probation. So why is the press reporting that there was DNA found? Is the press that incompetent? I'm just curious. If there's DNA, then let's see the DNA proof. Because that's really an incredible stroke of luck. That you have a beard hair. A white beard hair, no less. Just stuck to that thing, right? Let's go ahead and let's look at the last bit of documentation that was filed with this. So right here, June 16th. Judgment in a criminal case. Pleaded guilty March. No, he didn't. He pleaded in January. We saw it. We saw it. We saw it. We saw it. We saw it, right? And there we go. And here, look at how fun this is. Obviously, he's going to be getting mental health treatment for 60 months, right? He is to remain in the custody of the United States Marshal. Upon release from imprisonment, you will be on supervised release for a term of 3 years. We've already read all of this. You must cooperate in the collection of DNA as directed by the probation officer. It's the only box that they checked. I would like to see proof, please, of this DNA. But right here, obviously, these are very standard conditions of supervision. You can't break the law. You gotta have a job. You can't be dicking around, okay? So, that's fine. Let's continue. Obviously, he cannot have contact with the crybaby Satans. And I don't blame him. But I still would like to see proof of these claims. And they are not here. They do not exist. They do not exist. That's the last page. That's the last page. There you go. There's the Christian extremist that Doug was inciting satanic panic last summer and literally drove here. during all that weird shit, excuse my language, to get his dog. And he literally lied in court. Now, if someone can find proof of the DNA stuff, please send it to me. If someone has access to Pacer and can get the actual transcript of the court hearing, I would like to see that. I do not know if this is going to be sealed. A lot of Sean Patrick Palmer's files have been sealed because I have been following this very closely since this all occurred. I wanted to wait and give it some time just to see if anything was going to change, if they were going to release anything else. And I am going to take all of the documents that I have, not the articles that I've pulled, like, because I showed those last summer when all of this happened, right when Doug couldn't keep his story straight. Dougie, Lucian. I'm going to upload these to my Wayback. That way it's there. You guys can download them if you like. I will put them into one folder. But yeah, if anybody has access to any of that, please send it my way. I welcome that, please, because I would love to know. Because this is a bunch of baby back bullshit, as they say, as some say. Now, let's go ahead and let's get on to, because we're going to come back to Doug. We're going to get into Doug a little bit deeper at another time. But you guys may be wondering why I put Parenting 101. Yeah, so let's go ahead and pull the girl up right here. Let me get every article that I have, because if you guys have not heard, which one's first? That is May 19th. So, I guess we'll start with that one, because fortunately, some of these articles I was able to track down actually had the Instagram photos that I had found. So, people say the process doesn't exist, right? That I'm making like false claims, and what process ideology would track with a mother supporting her son going to shoot their peers at a school. Yeah, because she did. She did. So let's go ahead and let's take a peek. Let's see what the most common theme is here. Ashley Pardo's Instagram shows neo-Nazi icon, Charles Manson tattoo, May 19th, 2025. So there she is. Hey, you know what? I have face tattoos. I know that I don't have eyebrows like that, and I know that my tattoos aren't that bad. Not hating on you, girl. I'm just saying. Holy guacamole. Obviously, unflattering photo. But before Ashley Pardo, 33, the mother of an alleged would-be school shooter, was arrested and charged last week with aiding in the commission of terrorism. She worked as a bartender at San Antonio goth bar Cream, enjoyed attending local metal shows, and regularly kept up with her friends and patrons on social media. However, one of Pardo's social media pages may offer insight into what San Antonio Police Chief William McManus was referring to when he said, "There were very disturbing things found in the mother's house during a Thursday morning news conference." And right here, what's that logo on her shirt? What's that logo on her shirt, y'all? Do y'all see that? Do I need to zoom in? Hello? Anybody in the class want to chime in? It's a little bit weird, isn't it? A little bit sus, right? Okay, let's continue. Right here. I like how they say a stylized version of an iron cross. Okay, whatever you guys say. Pardo's Instagram page, listed under the tag, "The Most Miserable Girl," oh, it's so emo, depicts multiple references to symbols and figures commonly associated with white supremacist groups, including Charles Manson. Her page also features posts depicting a tattoo of Manson on one of her forearms, as well as a quote from one of Manson's manifestos highlighted on her Instagram stories. "Most only think good of you if you die. After you're dead, everyone will cry and say how good you were," the highlighted Manson quote on Pardo's page says. The quote is likely from the book Reflection by Lynette Fromm, otherwise known as Squeaky, during her time as a member of the Manson family cult. And right there's her page. This is from May 2019. And there is the little segment cut out of it, right? Do you see how this is all just a common theme? Yeah, it's just a very common theme. Okay. According to an affidavit supporting her arrest, Pardo was accused of helping her son purchase ammunition and gear to carry out a school shooting at Rhodes Middle School, which the boy attended. The affidavit said that Pardo's son drew concern from school officials after they discovered alarming drawings from the boy, which included a map of the school labeled Suicide Route with the school name written on it alongside a drawing of a rifle with a muzzle flash. The affidavit said Pardo's son also expressed a fascination with past mass shooters to include their manifestos, and that the boy's grandmother discovered a loaded rifle and pistol magazines in the home where the boy lived. She also discovered a homemade explosive device, which included white supremacist slogans like 14 words and multiple SS symbols. And here she is from 2020 with her Charlie tattoo. Charlie, right? Charlie. Additionally, the explosive device also had the words "for Brenton Tarrant" written on it, a reference to the Christchurch mosque shootings, which the boy researched on a school computer in April, the affidavit said. According to the affidavit, Pardo supported her son's violent expressions and drawings and did not feel concerned for his behavior. Pardo's son was arrested last week after arriving at Rhodes Middle School on Monday wearing a mask, camouflage jacket, and tactical pants. And here she is again. There we go. On Pardo's Instagram page, her biography section includes a reference to her former workplace at Cream, as well as what appears to be an Iron Cross icon. Where do we have that? Hold on, let's look. Yeah, that's as close as you're going to get to a process logo. Her shirt was a process logo, which is commonly used by neo-Nazis and white supremacist groups as a hate symbol, according to the Anti-Defamation League. Well, not the best source. In one of her posts, she wears a t-shirt printed with what appears to be a stylized version of the Iron Cross. It is not a stylized version of the Iron Cross. It is literally the process symbol. Under a Wednesday update to Facebook from Pardo's former employer Cream, commenters accused Pardo of worshipping Manson, having Nazi tattoos, and wearing swastikas. And one of Pardo's highlighted story posts on her Instagram page, she can be seen wearing a shirt with Manson on it, alongside the caption, "Favorite shirt featuring your favorite hater." Oh, these Manson people are just... Do you think that her and Barry with the good hair, Barry Dobin, Nick, do you think that you guys would get along? I think that her shirt and tattoo says that you guys would. Barry. All right, let's continue. And right here, what is this from July 2022? Waiting for this world to end. Humans are only destructive, it's sickening. That includes myself. We're not productive. We are a disease. This sounds like some weird transhumanist stuff, like shut up. But it's also very Processian, right? Like humanity is the devil. Okay, so right there, they rewrite that. Ashley Pardo's attorney, Joseph Appelt, did not immediately respond to Express News' request for comment. Cream did not respond to an Express News request for comment. The establishment distanced itself from Pardo in a post to social media. We found out about the situation with Ashley and her charges the same way y'all did and removed her from the team immediately, Cream wrote Wednesday on Facebook. Her choices in her personal life do not represent Cream. Now, with that situation, that's actually kind of not the truth. It's actually definitely not the truth, because I went on to, there's like a Reddit in that area, and so I went looking, and apparently the allegedly, and I'm not naming names, but allegedly there's an individual who is the main owner of a group of bars. This person apparently is just a flagrant Nazi and has just hired her under something else under the umbrella of what they own. But let's go to the latest development. I couldn't find anything showing that the kid has been charged yet, or if they dropped the charges, because I know that was coming if they didn't actually charge him with something. So right here, the latest developments in the case of San Antonio mom accused in mass violence plot. June 3rd, 2025. And there she is, obviously not having a great day, right? Not having a great day. Ashley Pardo, the mother accused of helping her son plan acts of mass violence at a San Antonio school had her bond slightly modified, according to court records. Pardo was arrested for allegedly buying ammunition, magazines, and tactical gear for her son's desire to carry out a reported school shooting at Rhodes Middle School with the San Antonio Independent School District. Pardo, 33, was charged with aiding in the commission of terrorism. On May 12th, she allegedly knew of her son's fascination with past mass shooters and expressed to the school her support of her son's violent expressions and drawings, according to an arrest affidavit obtained by MySA. On Friday, May 30th, Pardo made her first court appearance. Her attorneys requested to change her bond conditions to allow her to return to work. The judge approved the request, permitting a modification for her GPS monitoring to accommodate her work schedule, according to court records. Oh, no, I knew we had more right here. So, So, talking about how he showed up at school, right? He was found off campus, detained by police. He is being charged with terrorism, according to the Rhodes Middle School. I haven't found any proof of this, but obviously this could have changed. During the investigation, they found 3 loaded magazines and a note that had several names of the mass shooters written on it, references to white supremacy and Nazism at the home of a relative who was caring for the student on and off. The relatives found the items and contacted law enforcement. The student reportedly told his relative that he got the ammunition from his mother, who had been taking him to buy tactical gear in exchange for babysitting his younger siblings. Huh. Wow. Mother of the Year award, right? Mother of the Year. According to the affidavit, here we go again, she knew about her son's threat. She was in contact with local law enforcement, CPS, and school personnel. Yeah? That's really crazy to me. Her son attended an alternative school until May 7th, the affidavit stated. Upon his return to Rhodes Middle School, new security measures were enacted by the campus due to concerns surrounding the student. Yeah, I would be concerned too. So, what's next for her? She had to post a bond of $75,000 after being arrested and placed under full house arrest before being granted partial arrest on Friday. This $75,000 is not 10% of a $750,000 bond, which would make more sense for literal terrorism. Literal terrorism, federal terrorism charges, right? You were literally like, we're about to read the warrant. This is insane. She had to pay $7,500 to get out of jail. Yeah? How does that feel? How does that feel? Does that feel good to everybody? And this is in Texas. This is in Texas. That's wild. And I don't understand why nobody cares. I think that this is completely insane to me. But whatever. I'm just over here blaming everything on the process, right? Well, let's go ahead and let's look at the warrant. Here we go. And they redacted it, not me. So, right here. Warrant number, Bexar County, Ashley Rosalinda Pardo. There we go. Let's see. I didn't highlight anything on this. I just figured we could just go through it, right? Because we've read a lot of this stuff, obviously, already. Okay. Aiding in the commission of terrorism. Aiding in the commission of terrorism. Hey, you got $7,500? Oh, Bexar County? Thank you. Thank you. I knew I was going to mispronounce something. I always do. Bexar County. For only $7,500 bond, you can aid in the commission of terrorism. Did you know that? Head on down to Bexar County, Texas. Okay, so let's go ahead and see. So this right here in January 2025, right? The drawings, the suicide route, the school named out with a rifle with a muzzle flash drawn above it, timestamps of 0600 and 1205 hours. Their manifestos, the past mass shooters, April 2025. Researching the Christ Mosque shooting on the school-issued computer. Not too smart, right? Not that bright of a kid. Sorry. He was subsequently suspended and later in the day attempted suicide with a straight razor, causing significant injuries and requiring over 100 stitches. That's why he was in alternative school. This is when they changed their security plan and their security posture due to concerns of mass targeted violence. Who do you go to for your kids when the court says, hey, you just got to pay $7,500, it's all good? And the mom doesn't care, right? So right here, Officer Zimmerman requested contact with the SAPD behavioral threat team regarding items she found in her home. And right here, on and off for the past few weeks, due to his behavior, I think this is when he was staying with his grandmother, right? Yeah, I believe that this was all from his grandmother. So, he was found hitting a live bullet with a hammer, and she stopped him. She asked him where he got the live bullet, and he told her his mother, the defendant, had guns and ammunition at her house, and she had given him the ammunition. The reporting person stated the defendant had been taking him to a local surplus store and bought him tactical gear to include magazines, tactical black vests capable of concealing ballistic plates, tactical black helmet, and various army clothing. This morning, before going to school, he was telling the reporting person he was going to be famous and referenced 14 words. He was picked up this morning by the defendant and left to school. Right here, the reporting person then began to look through his bedroom and found magazines, but they were now loaded with live rifle ammunition, and the pistol magazines were also loaded with live ammunition. An improvised explosive device was found using a mortar-style firework wrapped in duct tape with the words for Breton Tarrant, known for being the shooter in 2019 New Zealand mosques, causing the deaths of 52 people. 14 words and multiple SS symbols. The duct taping of the mortar improvises its design purpose. The tape will hold more pressure than its design, causing a larger explosive force. The mortar is designed for consumer purposes and should be used in conjunction with a mortar tube. The fuse was also improvised or cut as to ignite faster. The reporting person also found a note on the kitchen table that had several names with numbers next to the names in the young man's handwriting. The handwritten note by the young man, again, referencing these previous mass shootings, right? And again, right here, the defendant, the mother, aware of these threats. No concern. And she admitted to buying his tactical gear, ammunition, and supplies. This is completely insane to me. She is facilitating his desire to carry out his threats. Does anyone else think that this woman is completely fucking insane? Excuse my language. Right? Excuse my language. However, there we go. And right here. May 12th, 2025. $7,500, you can go down to Texas and go nuts, apparently. Yeah? Go freaking nuts. Go nuts. Look at what you can get away with. It's very sad. I feel bad for that kid to an extent. But I really want to know what they found in the house. And they won't talk. I've looked everywhere. They will not say what they found in the house. Someone got real pissy with me over on Twitter because, she's a huge Integrity fan. And they said, well, what does integrity have to do with it? Well, Integrity is a process band. They literally say, you can literally go on Google and it pops up on their Wikipedia that their music is based off of process theology. Yeah. So we've got the process, we've got Manson, we've got domestic terrorism. And then we've got the temple, right? With all of its tomfoolery. Yeah, because it is a whole bunch of tomfoolery. Now, I have one or two other things that I want to show you because I went down a very specific hellhole today. I don't feel great about it. And I got to kind of gather my thoughts before I get into it. But let me see. All right, I'm going to open up all of these. That way you can see my train of thought. I can't sing, so don't judge me. Don't at me, bro. So I was doing a little bit of digging, and I think by the time the week's over, depending on the weather, I'm gonna come on and talk about, what's his name? Lots of Papa. Okay, that's my goal. But when I come back on, I want to talk about this stuff because there's a lot of weird stuff here. So, I was talking to my dear friend Parker, and this was something that we had talked about a long time ago and then kind of forgot about, right? And then today, I don't know, I just went on a journey. I was just kind of like surfing the wave in the way back, right? And I was like, oh yeah, there's this mention of this, 4 pi, 4p movement, because I've been, spending a lot of time working on Stephen Hurd, specifically with Todd Wood, which it's going to be a very long conversation as well, but we're going to go through each and every single tab from the way back just so you guys can see. Okay, then I'm going to show you a card that I found showing that Topi, not just a band, they're lying. But let's go ahead and let's go to number 1. Okay, so right here. The New Process Church of the Final Judgment, the New Way, 4P2. 4P2, 2008. As it is, 4P or 4 pi squared, a new beginning. Now taking requests for entry. If you contact us at the address below, or if you have in the past and we do not or have not replied, it is not because your email was lost or it got caught in the spam filter or we overlooked it. It is because we do not wish to waste time or electrons corresponding with you. Contact us at Manson2 at 4p2.org. So be it. Now, call me a stupid hillbilly in the woods. However, is that not a backhanded acknowledgement that there is a Manson 2? And I absolutely do not think that it is Bill Menser. Kind of weird. And why were they running that, right? Who owned that email? That's the question that I would like to know. Let's look at another update from the way back, right? So, right here. The Neo-Process Church of the Final Judgment. The New Way. 4P2. 4P2. The Rebirth. And all the rest of this is the same. Yeah. I thought that the Neo process wasn't real. Oh, except for our dear friend Fred. Passive aggressively got us that confirmation, right? For those of you that have been here for a long time, we know all of this, but where did this go? Eventually, we're going to do the deep dive of what they say it was. But let's go ahead and let's see what they told the internet. And I'm very grateful to whoever chalked these up into the Wayback, because it took me a long time to track down the man who organized all of this. But I found him, and it's really fucking dark. So right here, the Neo-Process Church of the Final Judgment, the New Way, 4P2, the Rebirth project closed to further participants until further notice. Results of this experiment to be posted here in 2009. And it is just blank images of nothing. Yeah, blank images of nothing. Now, you may be asking yourself, because I'm not going to get into it today because I have a second stream coming up at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But I'm going to show you basically the last thing that I left off on while digging down this rabbit hole. And then you have to ask yourself, well, why do we keep seeing the same themes, right? Why do we keep seeing the same themes? Here we go. So, right there. Hopefully, you guys can see that. So, allegedly, the Temple of Psychic Youth had membership cards. I've never seen one before, but I found one. The frequency of truth. This card identifies the bearer as an active individual in the Temple of Psychic Youth, dedicated towards the establishment of a functional system of magic and a modern pagan philosophy without recourse to mystification, gods, or demons, but recognizing the implicit powers of the human brain, neuromancy, linked with guiltless sexuality, focused through will structure, sigils. Magic empowers the individual to embrace and realize their dreams and maximize their natural potential. It is for those with the courage to touch themselves. It integrates all levels of thought in the first steps towards final negation of control and fear. Our aim is wakefulness, our enemy is dreamless sleep. The frequency of truth. Temple name Coyote 84, authorized by Callie 60. And yes, look, a smiley face indeed. A smiley face indeed. I thought that the Temple of the Psychic Youth was just a band. That's what I keep being told. I also keep being told that the process disbanded in 1974. Yeah. Thoughts about that, anyone? It's more of a rhetorical question at this point, because I'm not going to sit here and ramble. And I think that I will end here for the moment, because again, I do have another stream coming up, and obviously I will be a bit more laid back in that one. Tom O'Neill, I know that you watched now. Thank you. I know that you watch. Could you clarify what you mean about like me being not entertaining in the way that I think I am? Because I've never said that I was entertaining, and I've actually challenged you and your research team very, very, very specifically on a number of things, Tom. And actually, before I leave, I'm going to go ahead and drop into the chat via my cell phone. Shameless self-plug here. Since Tom decided to take up for Hugh Hefner, kind of fucking weird, excuse my language, I'm going to drop this into the chat because the latest episode of What is the Process is available now. Let me turn down the volume so that we don't get a weird, crazy echo. Give me a second. And you guys can go and listen. Because I quote Tom's response about Hugh Hefner. Because Tom likes to claim journalistic integrity. I would highly disagree, especially with your research team. So if you could clarify, because I've been real specific, and if people could start calling Paul Hart by his actual name, Paul Hart Berger, that way we can kind of get the ball rolling. Because I'm going to be in Manson for a while, guys. There's a lot going on here. And the Bernard Crow, lots of Papa stuff is just... I've been real hung up on it, you know? I'm like, oh, they did my boy Crow dirty. They did. They did. It's really crazy, Tom, that you left that out of your book, bro. But whatever. Whatever. I'm not even going to get into it. Tom, you know what power bottom means, and you know that you are one. I'm going to leave it here for now, my friends, and me and Janae will be doing a vibe check at 7 o'clock, and come hang. It'll be much more laid back, and I will talk to you guys soon. If, if you don't come hang out, no worries. Bye.